was the beneficiary of these beautiful, incredible sort of harlequin calico roses. So I've set them with in a single glass, usually two roses. And if you want to take one and put it right near your nose, that is fine. My exercise is, the whole exercise is really to focus very carefully on the whatever roses you are working with, and do probably a small painting, but if somebody would wish to do a huge painting and fill a big half sheet or a whole sheet, that would be great too. But by focusing, start seeing all the little permutations in the glass of water and color, things that are reflected around and behind it, so that you will, the glass in itself becomes fascinating. When I started mine, I started with the glass, and I got lost in a little world. And if that can happen to you, I think, one, you'll find it fun, and it becomes a foil for the colorful blossoms themselves. I then started a different rendition where I started from around thinking about last week and the darks. And so in this way, the darks behind the flowers start punching up what's around there. So these are different ways of going about a single focus. And that's what that whole exercise is really, which is what is good no matter what you're painting, is to focus, so that you lose yourself, you start discovering things. You may not know exactly what you're painting, then you discover, as I did, oh, it's a leaf form, but it's kind of changed muted by the glass and the water, or some of the glasses have a little faceting on them, or even little cut glass jelly jar thing. So you'll start seeing what you see through the glass, so darkly, and then face to face. So that is the single motif. Before I got these flowers and refound my Monet book, I was planning to do something with snow and landscape, and I will address that maybe for those of you who might be interested in doing some of that. If you do the single motif and kind of expand in any way, including even more glasses, more flowers, or bring things in from your head or whatever, again, thinking as we all, as we should in a way, what else comes to mind about this, and including a memory, even an emotional thing. There's no question that when you look at the Monet paintings, these single tributes to him as he was very ill, knowing that, it's like working with poetry and stuff. Knowing that gives another meaning, sometimes another angle, attitude that you use in your painting. I guess if I have a theme for this whole session, it's how other things inform what you do, both your memory, your emotions, poetry, references to other work, which makes it richer. In other words, it's not only just a little water glass with a couple of flowers. See how much, this is a sort of hard thing to define. See how much more you can put into it, because that's subtle. It doesn't mean, you write hearts and flowers and sloppy poetry or something all over it. It's, if you devote yourself to whatever you're looking at with affection and interest, I think it takes on another layer. That is probably a very subjective thought, but I think it's true. There's another theme, or a theme in the back of my head about this whole session has been, why do we paint what we do? What the heck? Why? What are we bringing? One more rendition, one more rose. But it's because you have some draw to something, even if it's something that is here arbitrarily because I brought it in. You have a reaction to it, and that can inform how you paint. So I took off the stack, this shed, lovely shed, and it's the kind of I personally actually do have kind of a nice positive response to this. It isn't to me just sort of a nothing shed in a bleak little field. I immediately do have some response. The crudeness of it, the truly crude, peculiar little motif that whoever constructed this barn, sort of puts a little eyebrow thing right over the door. This is not integral in any way. It's just taking maybe 2x4s, and making a little eyebrow over the door. It's kind of very touching. Anyway, so I did this, and just with focusing, I did start upside down, because my personal response is I see better because I'm not conflicted by recognition. And if I have it upside down, I'm even more, I'm more likely to get this proportion right. I'm not, my knowledge that this is a barn at this angle and everything is not particularly in there. And I just want to establish a couple of things like this and that side of the barn. And I'm going to start with broad areas. Actually, probably the smartest thing for me to start with, and I think I did, is I wet this area for the sky and around the little barn. You could probably almost let it go over the whole barn, but I'm going to keep it like this. And there's a little clear white, so I'm going to of snow on it. Then again, by focusing on it, you probably develop a feeling, okay, what time of day, what weather, whatever, and I'm starting with a little yellow. In fact, I might just put that everywhere. And this is a very strange, roughish paper. And I do not remember what it is. I think it's Hahnemühle. Lisa had a bunch of Hahnemühle. This is not what she had, but I had a few sheets of it, and I did one painting I loved. It's kind of rough, but a little bit slick. It's a funny paper, yeah, but it has a texture. Okay, so I have a little bit of the yellow under it, and now I am going to, I want a rather kind of gloomy, not gloomy, but I'm taking a little bit of purple. These are imperfections, some of this lovely effect, are kind of imperfections in the photograph. Sorry, but rather than striations of rain or something. On the other hand, to me, they sort of suggest something like that. Mm-hmm. And I put that much color down, and I'm going to integrate it a little and let it let the gravity go. There are all sorts of things you could add into this according to what you might perceive. And I'm just going to, for fun, put a little bit more greenish. See if that will work. And then you've got to let it have its own way. Okay. Now, I'm going to gradually work in what I see. And I see this better upside down than if I were looking at it here. If I were looking at it straight on, I mean, as a right side up, I would probably see more white here than is, because I know this is all snow and everything. But when I see it upside down, I see quite a difference of the these areas of. Where this is, I guess, a road or something. And the whole shape is much more clear. I might put a little bit of what I see up here, which kind of will tie it in, relate to it. Light. And I'm just softening that there. Put a little bit more.
What did you use for your gray?
This is a little bit of purple, carbazole violet, a little, because I had a little bit of that acidy green there, and a bit of cerulean. So now I'm going to turn it right side up so I can get into this. And I'm going to do little things along there, and I don't really care if it leaks up here, because this is kind of a distant bit of landscape, and that's a kind of nice effect. In fact, you could even, that's a little too wet right now, you could even augment that by putting a little of that wonderful sort of rosy color, which is what happens along the horizon. But I'm being very, very rough. I mean, that's almost enough for my scene. And I'm going to wait a little bit. There's this sharp shadow that comes in behind the barn. I'm going to wait on that. And then I am going to, while this is still wet, kind of rough it up a little. Maybe take a pointy, totally dry. All right. I'm going to emphasize a little some of the things I see here. There's a very nice kind of drift here. And by doing very little with white, since you're leaving so much of the paper for the whites, you're going to get quite a distinct feeling. I see I picked a very different color. I like that little buzz above the above the horizon, and I think I will put a bit of more of that glow. All of these things are responding to some of the things that are in the picture, but some of the things that you know might happen if you have seen a similar snow scene. So, probably too early to go down here. Maybe not. I'm gonna take a bit more. It's another gray, but it's mostly some cerulean. It is still quite wet here, so I'm just gonna do the body of the barn. But I'm not gonna do, exactly the local. I mean, when you look at this, you know it's got local color. And you probably, by the time, if you really are concentrating on the black and white picture, by the time you have finished doing anything, you probably almost are seeing this with color of all sorts, because it's because you're kind of making friends with this barn and trying to do something that would be sometimes the color is going to, the little bit of rosiness into that cerulean is telling you something about some warm sun falling on that. This is quinacridone gold. I'm going to get a little more. So I've got a lot of different color in here. And I will have to pause in this because I want some of it to dry. So that's the basic laying it down. You can see as you get into this, and I'll just darken this because I can how that wonderful heap of snow here is so pointed up by just the dark that you put in here. So, and now I think this is probably dry enough I could put in that shadow. So that is, because it's too wet for me to do stuff up into here, I'm going to mainly use it. I tried to, as much as I could, use strokes that really go across here just to establish that is the, the planking of it. But I'm going to have to come back and do a little bit more. There are all sorts of weeds and stuff that, again, I will get more if doing things with weeds and grasses and stuff, it's kind of a personal thing. I'm not crazy about what I'm doing, but I think I always would probably try to work hastily just to get so that they have a little bit more freedom of growth, which these don't really, but it's an effort. It's the kind of, people have their own personal weed technique. This is quite a lot drier now. I'm going back to put a little tiny bit of city life or whatever is going on in the back. And I see now something kind of fun about this shadow. So it's sort of a little ski jump here, which I'm sure we've all been watching in different ways. So, I'm going to kill this purpleness of some of this by putting a little green into it. And even though this is much wetter than I would want to do, I'm going to just do this to try to speed things up. And you can pull things out, some of the structure. I'm doing a lot of detail-y stuff that I might not do. I might just say, this is my barn, just to illustrate what you can do. And I'm going to wait on this because this is a very distinguishing and snow scene feature of it's a very sharp shadowed piece up there. So I'm going to let that dry probably completely before I go in here. Maybe put a little hint of, you know, that light that both the light and the shadow that falls up there. But I'm going to. I do want to wait on that. Playing with this and with a snow scene is a great way to just experiment with your knowledge of the amount of drying. Because do you want a sharp edge? Do you want a really sharp edge, like a totally left white, dry place here with this up against it? And it's good. It's a nice way to say, okay, this is too dry. I can't go back there. And I would probably not really want to get too much into the planking. I did do more there, but I think I need to let it dry more. I'm changing brushes a lot, though I didn't mention it. But I think when you're, you have to know what brush is going to be the right one for a certain gesture and a certain, a bigger brush like this is more encompassing and might sort of meld things together in a way that you might want, which you could do like that, rather than a smaller brush where you might be getting pickier than you'd be wanting to. And of course, we've done brush exercise. The edges, you're also using, this nice edge. And that just gives you a kind of perfect straight line. Now I'm going to, and as you paint from a photograph, you decide what's important to you. Is it important each plank, or that there's, faults in the plank? That's one thing I love about this barn, actually, because somebody made it over time and repaired it and everything else. So what is it that you want to be saying or care about? And it could be that you want a planking like that comes really sharp. So I'm just going to let that dry before I do anything else, if I do anything else, because I might not. But as somewhat of an illustration, though I sort of do want to. I want to because there's something There's something wonderful about when, and it may not work here,
Yeah.
but when you pull everything together, or try to, with some of these, like this shadowed wonderful Eve, it just is so sort of magical that it. And again, this is sort of some places where the interesting randomness and brokenness of the vine comes out. You know, one almost doesn't have to ask Sue why she might have taken this picture, because I think it's clear that it's a enchantingly modest structure out in Winnipeg, and so her eye was probably caught with it. Well, I've made a bigger smokestack than necessary. This is all the laid down part, and the rest is, I went over my nice white there, but that's all right. Whenever, with a snow scene, of course, whenever you leave these little whites, they're going to say a lot, because your viewer and you are going to say, oh, that's some snow. I mean, is this some snow caught in a faulty plank? Maybe. And again, here's where you can, if you wished,